Okay, so we did chapter 12 last time, which was the call of Abraham, and quite a lot happened in that. So the story of Abraham, he's seen as the great-grandfather of Israel, and he seems a pillar of faith, righteousness, and obedience. But in this one, God had asked him to trust him, basically, and told him he'd show him this land. He's then set out with his wife, Sarai, and his nephew, Lot. So they went, as the Lord told him, to the land of Canaan. And I've just written some notes here after reading the study text, so I'll just go through that. But they travelled through Canaan to Shechem, which is in the Central Highlands. Then they went to Bethel, which is 20 miles south. And then they went down to Negeb. Probably completely butchered these names, but that's in the deep south of Palestine. And on a literal reading of chronology, a biblical chronology, Abraham apparently arrived in Canaan around 2090 BC. But in this chapter, the land of Canaan was designated as the promised land intended for the family of Abraham. And Abraham then sanctifies this as a place of worship, and he erects altars in Shechem, Bethel, Hebron, and also Moriah, which are, I think the latter two are in later chapters, it's said. And he also plants a sacred tree in Beersheba, which is near Negeb, close to the Mediterranean Sea and just above the Red Sea, according to this map. But they arrive, and then there's a famine, so they're forced into Egypt there, and but they end up coming out with great wealth, because God has sent plagues upon the house of Pharaoh. Now, what the study text didn't really go into depth on is what happened when they got there, which was where Abraham had told Sarai to say that he was her brother, basically tell them that you're my sister, and but that is actually a half-truth, because they have different mothers, but they share the same father. So he wasn't really lying when he said that. But of course then they see her, she's beautiful, she's taken into the Pharaoh's royal harem, and becomes the Pharaoh's wife by the sounds of it, looking at what was said. So they end up leaving after the plagues, and they leave with great wealth. He saved his life. Sarai is taken away. She's then with another man. A very complicated scenario. I know that I wouldn't be particularly happy about that if it was my wife, but I suppose at the time, very different, if we're looking at it literally. So I'm going to go through chapter 13 now, and this is Abram and Lot Separate. So Abram went up from Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the Negeb. Apologies. Now Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold, and he journeyed on from the Negeb as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place where he had made an altar at the first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. And Lot, who went with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, so that the land could not support both of them dwelling together, for their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abram's cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle. At that time the Canaanites and the Perizzites dwelt in the land. Then Abram said to Lot, Let there be no strife between you and me, and between your herdsmen and my herdsman, for we are kinsmen. Is not the whole land before you? Separate yourself from me. If you take the left hand, then I will go to the right, or if you take the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes and saw that the Jordan valley was well watered everywhere, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, in the direction of Zoar. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose for himself all the Jordan valley, and Lot journeyed east. Thus they separated from each other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, while Lot dwelt among the cities of the valley, and moved his tent as far as Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were wicked, great sinners against the Lord. The Lord said to Abram, after Lot had separated from him, "Lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward and southward, and eastward and westward, for all the land which you see I will give to you and to your descendants forever. I will make your descendants as the dust of the earth, so that if one can count the dust of the earth, your descendants also can be counted. Arise, walk through the length and the breadth of the land, for I will give it to you." So Abram moved his tent and came and dwelt by the oaks of Mamre, which are at Hebron, and there he built an altar to the Lord. That's the end of chapter 13. I'll have a look through. We'll talk about that next time.